we are on the final straight for today, and I'm excited for it. It's gonna be a very good show match as well to start us off for the stream with the two Red
Yep.
Devils and DXA Singapore to start us off.
Yeah, indeed. This is going to be the match that we're going to be witnessing. Spider and Starlight, which we've seen a little bit beforehand, of course, just after our first featured game was done for the day. And now they're going to have a very, very rough and scary opponent to face against the two Red Devils with Min and Chung. Chung, which was a little bit of a unknown variable on day one, I have to say, on my part, because I was like, Min, this is pretty much something that's kind of a given. You already know how he performs. But then you had Chung, who had the somewhat difficult and maybe unenviable task at times to try and basically try to match the pace of arguably what I like to call the emperor of APAC in Trackmania, and also try to pick up the slack whenever Min makes a mistake, which turned out to be a little bit more of a daunting task than expected maybe on day one. But now, with a little bit more time to prepare and a few more matches to get dialed in, I think we're going to see Chung right up there and being able to play the format really well compared to what we saw last week.
Yeah, that is indeed true, and it's something where I think with the two Red Devils, they're just gonna age like fine wine, and if they get like the actual, the pace going with everything involved, I think they're gonna be an absolute contender against Trident Esports. But that is a tale for future. The tale for now is that we're most likely going to see Shias being banned here and Agartha being banned here. And as noted as well, these are most expected bans, and not surprising there. It's the picks that could be a bit more interesting. Candy Crush, maybe? Can the two Red Devils be a
Mm.
bit devilish? Not quite.
Oh,
We have to be
waiting. Oh,
waiting for that
okay.
Candy Crush for later.
Okay. I mean, we were kind of talking about that just before we went back live, as Luminance gets the pick from
Hmm.
DXA on their side for map number 2. I would expect Candy Crush to come in as a third pick, because this is probably the map where, at least kind of given the glimpse by TMIO, for instance, where Chung has managed to make a pretty solid progression on that particular map as well. So it is going to be pretty interesting to see where it actually lands up. It's actually going to be Simplicity as third pick. Okay, I think all of our kind of assumptions and predictions have been completely challenged, with 3Ps coming in as map number 4. Candy Crush will be saved for last. So yeah, this is going to be like a maybe the nuclear option, quote unquote, here on this particular map pack, where it's basically the last resort for TRD if all else fails. But yeah, starting off on waiting, this is a map where we've seen it as starter, I think, once here on this stream. It's not that uncommon, but yeah, it's a bit of a rough one. I thought Simplicity would have been like in the like a first pick, but of course this is TRD we're talking about. So yeah, you gotta spice things up somewhere.
Yep, there has to be some kind of spice as well, and I feel like if anything is to look towards the map order, it really, if it didn't already, fall towards the two Red Devils, I think with this map order, even if somehow DXA managed to pull it to a map 5, they are gonna go on to Candy Crush of all maps, which on paper is the second worst track apart from Shias for DXA Singapore on averages. So if they somehow manage to survive until then, they are putting themselves probably through the worst gauntlet they're going to go through. But, all things can happen. Min, of course, is one of the most formidable opponents, no matter to who. He can defeat Mother if he wants to on a good day as well. And he can beat anybody in this tournament. But hopefully, Chung can be the same counterpart to him as well. But for the time being, it is all eyes on DXA Singapore. If they can, first of all, take down Chung, and if somehow take down Min. But for the time being, well, they have to start somewhere. So take it away, Geek. Let's begin this first round.
Alrighty then, it's time to go racing for the final time today here on stream. TRD versus DXA Singapore. We're underway right here, right now. Starting off with a drop down. It's going to be the whole shot for Chung and Min. Side by side, Chung, the leader at the whole shot. And already a mistake. This time it's from Min coming in at checkpoint number 2. A bit uncharacteristic, that one, coming in from the Korean player. He's going to be falling right within the clutches of Spider. He's going to be moving up into third place, and it's going to be all down to Starlight and Chung for the battle for the lead at the end of sector number 1. Coming onto the double right-hander, going very close to the apex. Unfortunately for Starlight, went a little bit too wide, and Min comes right back at him to move up not only to second position but also to first. going ahead of his teammate Chung, heading into sector number 2. Oh, we had to go for a bit of an overcorrection from Starlight, resulting in even more time loss, allowing Spider to move up into 3rd position, and Starlight relegated definitely to last position, over a second and a half down, but a bit of a pixel clip on the side of Min, dropping him down to P2, and now under threat from Spider, and that last sector that is semi-blind is once again making yeah, there we go. I've already lost my words, but yeah, you can see it does a lot of damage, that particular semi-blind corner. In the end, after a really, really tough battle, it will be Chung getting the better of Spider for 2nd position, and it will be a ace going the way of TRD. But yeah, with all the shenanigans that we've seen happen over the course of the final sector, it could have been 1 point on the board very easily for DXA. As unfortunately for Chung, that first round seems like a long time ago already, as he's been forced to respawn.
Yeah, he has forced to respawn, and Min also with a bit of a not the best line to start off, and here as well, it is putting DXA Singapore in a very perfect position in order to take, and Min not really getting up to a good start here to start off, as definitely uncharacteristic little fumbles here. Of course, a lot of people know that Min is very efficient in tech as well, but you should never underestimate him on mixed as well. There's a reason why he has AOTC wins on the board. He's definitely, that skill transfers so easily over. Tech is very technical, but of course hitting that wall is not very a technical option to begin with. So DXA Singapore are able to return the ace, return the favor, and get at least the score tied to a 3-3, and looking a lot more promising for DXA Singapore. Of course, we've had sort of a roller coaster of rounds from one end to the other, from DXA Singapore completely collapsing to Trident, well, not Trident, the TRD slogan there really sets me off to saying Trident, because it's such a nice acronym for that as well, but it is the 2 Red Devils, not Trident Esports. Yeah. But Min again, a bit of a touch, so a bit of a rough one.
Yeah, it looks as though the entry into this map from TRD is looking a little bit more painful than anticipated. There is a lot of growing pains, it should be said, to try and get into the groove for both Chung and Min also having a little bit more of a difficulty being exhibited to try and get themselves into that groove of being able to perform consistently, and that is going to be the kind of opportunity that DXA are relishing and are taking advantage to the fullest, as Spider takes over the lead from Chung. Starlight a little bit further behind compared to where he would wish to be in 3rd position. Min again forced to respawn, so he's not going to be in any position to have any kind of impact. Chung trying to make a late lunge, but it doesn't work out. It's going to be a victory going the way of DXA Singapore, who are going to be taking the lead in the score 5-4 as a result of the various trials and tribulations of the blue camp. And yeah, TRD, you said Trident, but for me, like being, of course, a motorsports guy, TRD is, of course, an acronym for something else completely. For those of you who know Japanese manufacturers, you might know it, but I'll say it. It's Toyota Racing Development. There you go. I said it. I can't unsee this now. I can't unsee this acronym. But yeah, back to the race. 5-4 for DXA Singapore.
Yeah, a start that they are definitely probably very much excited to have in this position, but the problem is, again, Min with an early touch. So waiting, well, we probably have to be waiting for a good result by Min. Definitely not up to his normal facade, at least at this point, but this is a perfect opportunity. If there's any time for DXA Singapore to take advantage of it, it is right now. If they can get a track point on the board, that will at least secure them, you know, to go as far as map number 4. But with Spider touching the corner there, again puts Min in the 3rd position, and if this sticks as it is right now, we might have an even Steven score of 6-6 on the board. So if Starlight would love to overtake it, but he goes very wide, allows Min to overtake, and this goes from bad to worse. So what looked to be an opportunity becomes an ace, as Min takes a bit of an interesting line, but is able to hold on, and that puts the 2 Red Devils up in front with 7-5 on the board, track point, and all things are evening out in the world. And even with these little fumbles, the 2 Red Devils hold on and are taking the lead for the time being.
That was such a preventable ace from DXA as well, because that all was stemmed from that little misalignment in the setup of the blind corner that we were talking about over the course of this map. And yeah, just trying to go for a bit more of an overcorrection, and unfortunately went a bit too wide as a result, allowing Min to slip through into second position. And speaking of the Devil, there is the one Red Devil Min here, taking the lead about half a tenth ahead of his own teammate Chung, who got ahead of Starlight. Starlight getting left a little bit further behind in the second sector, currently 4 tenths down compared to the leader, and a further 10th up on his teammate Spider. Yeah, the field is somewhat spread out right now in this final round, as we see Min unfortunately going a little bit too early, too tight, and hits the wall, and thus TRD will not conclude this yet, as Chung will be left all on his own to take to the finish line first with a 56.278. It is a draw that will allow DXA to continue holding a 2-point deficit, quote unquote. But yeah, TRD now in a bit more of a palatable situation because they only need a victory and no longer an ace to conclude that map.
Yeah, it is very interesting indeed. And also the interesting part that I just was wondering when I was looking at the map waiting as well. I was just wondering, like, is it something that they have picked as well? And no, to be honest. Like, throughout the day, they have not even thought, well, apart from the previous match against Equinox, they took waiting. They have only picked waiting against teams of maybe not as high caliber, so I don't know if there's some emphasis on that. Usually they go for Luminance, but maybe they expected for DXA to pick it, which they actually did, so they thought, maybe we'll just go for waiting. It hasn't maybe worked out the way that it was expected, but at the moment Min is now finally showing what he can do, and he's almost the second ahead of everybody else.
Yeah,
looks to be on a very good time, but
Chung
misses the checkpoint completely, but look at that time by Min, holy
0.6.
55.6, Jesus Christ, man.
That is a two-faced round for TRD. It was looking very good for Chug right up until the last checkpoint, where he did not manage to get the proper lineup. And in the other end, Min, you've got Min driving a 0.640. That's absolutely nuts to think about. 9-7, both teams on that point now, but it's ace or bust at this point for DXA. They're gonna have to be the ones with a lot more work to do, a job that's gonna be getting a lot easier thanks to the mistake from Min, who's forced to respawn, and it's all left up to Choke to get the second place needed for that single point to go the way of TRD to conclude the map. Right now, Starlight taking over the lead. Spider trying to hold to the best of his ability that second place, but Shog is continuing to bear down on him really quickly as Spider goes a little bit wider, forced to release, just losing a little bit of time, allowing Shog to come back out and to move up into second place. This is the perfect situation right now for Chung to make the most impact he can. He needs to hold it all the way through this last sector. Right now, Starlight going a little bit wide, maybe forced to release quite dramatically, and look at Chung taking advantage of that situation to move up into first place, and that is going to be all she wrote. 10-8, the final score with a 56.735 for Chung. Min will be reaching the finish line after a little bit of a slow landing in there, let's say that. But 10-8, the final score. And yeah, definitely a lot of growing pains going into that first map for TRD. Ultimately, they managed to hold out and get through the win with a 2-point lead, which is a lot closer of a gap than what we would have expected it to be.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, Chung definitely today arrived and on point. My favorite interaction, of course, in chat as well. I see like Spider and Starlight both like, "Oh, very nice time," and nice time. Min is like just a blatant no. That 55 is like, nope, that wasn't a good time, man. What are you talking about? A very nice time, 55.6. I can do a lot faster than that. That was not a good time. So even Min holds himself to a very high standard. And I think even after that performance on the track as well, I think he definitely wants to sort of slightly forget it. Even if they took it, Min was really not having that track. But Luminance is a track that they often pick, and DXA also. So could be something a lot of fun to go by, and we'll have to wait and see. I mean, DXA had the perfect opportunity to take the first track, but I feel like that opportunity is gonna run short really fast.
Yeah, they're gonna have to. I feel like the mistakes from TRD, now that they took him first map as like trying to tank the first map, given that they weren't able to get in the groove that quickly. Now that they were able to get themselves warmed up and dialed in, I think now the mistakes coming in from the blue side are going to be very few and far between, so it's something where Starlight and Spider need to absolutely capitalize on those mistakes when they do happen from the opposing side, as currently it is Starlight making a good stand for himself versus Chung, battling for second position. Currently, it's still advantage to Starlight with about half a tenth of a gap at the split. Right now, Chung trying to keep himself accountable, but both of the TRD players have completely full stop picked at checkpoint number 8, and just like that, the tables have turned quite dramatically, and it is an ace that is going to be given on the silver plate to DXA Singapore if both players can reach the finish line in time. Of course, Starlight finishing with a 59.3. Spider doesn't even bother with the triangle line, opts for the safe jump into the risky fin, which is a bit of an oxymoron in itself. But yeah, Chung and Min, ow, that full stop pick in checkpoint number 8, that's got to be painful to see, especially on the first round. 3-0 for the red side.
Yeah, this is something that now is a bit looming as well. Yes, the two Red Devils have abundance of good times and pace, but it seems that when it comes to the matches, it's not as confident compared to the other times. They can have some amazing times, but again, maybe they are pushing themselves a bit too much here. It's very hard to say, of course, or just, hasn't been maybe the day, even if, well, Starlight definitely is not having the day, and it's only Spider left to really get something there. Maybe he can get some of the players stuck in a web a bit and, maybe catch up a bit for the time being. But Min and Chung, they get to the lead, but hopefully they do not have the misfortune of making the same mistake again. This time get through it very cleanly. So quick alignment, quick adjustment of the steering, and all is good in the world, and they look to be returning the favor with another counter ace. This match has been just aces, somehow aces galore, but not in the way that we expected them to be, with a 58.4. Min things as well, a very good time again on the board, and it is 3-3 on the board, and we equalize the scores, and nothing happened.
Yeah, absolutely nothing happened. Nothing happened. For those of you who are hanging out in Beatus chat, you might know what I'm talking about in terms of nothing happened. But yeah, that was a solid round from TRD. Yeah, Starlight unfortunately getting a little bit of a barrel roll that didn't quite stick the landing, and yeah, that was pretty much all she wrote for DXA, as Spider could not do anything against the might of Min, and Chung even made a pretty good job of actually containing Spider in third place. And now we're heading into the third round. The scales have been evened up, and Min having taken a solid start. 2-10 clear of his own teammate, battling with Starlight and Spider. Bit of airtime, but very, very minimal from Chung, so he doesn't lose all that much. Starlight continuing to chase down Chung in third place. Oh, and Chung having a bit of a slow transition onto the plastic there. That's going to be allowing Starlight to catch back up to him. Heading into checkpoint number 8, we see Min, Chung, and Starlight making it through pretty much clean. Spider did not get so fortunate, though, and will be forced to respawn. Starlight tried to show himself in the back of the screen of Chung, but his line completely compromised everything, and Min having a huge slowdown as well just before the final checkpoint. It will be Chung doing the honors of taking the individual victory for TRD with a .118 mid-second place, and that's going to be one more ace going the way of TRD. We're just trading aces round after round so far.
Yeah, it's a blow of well, you would say blow of a titan.
We're trading blows,
one
yeah.
big swing at the other. You go for the uppercut, I go for the uppercut. Goes both ways. But so far, the two Red Devils have two uppercuts compared to the one of DXA, and it seems that they're gonna go for another blow here. Not quite the knockout yet, because it is 6-3, so even an ace would put them on 9. But it would be close to 1. But for the time being, Starlight is in the mix, so is holding up the front here. But now Min and Chung. I say that Min has a bit of a fumble, Starlight has a bit of a fumble, but is able to hold on. But Spider joins the fight as well, and now they're sort of fighting in the front. But again, now Spider just touches the wall and is completely out of it. This is a round and a half to cast at this point. Everybody's just switching positions constantly, but Min now is attacking Starlight. He's again at the back end of him. Is here. Chung is seeming quite comfortable, but Min fully sitting it and absolutely having a moment of lapse of judgment. Goes a bit too close to the corner there, and just, as a speech bubble, as we say, it just goes to the moon, to the sunset, and and that's what all she wrote there.
Yeah, that's pretty. You saw it happen live, didn't you? You just see Min just trying to ring the current, just going so wide. Like, yes, I'll avoid the one. Like, I got no steering angle left, so I need Belgium to turn around and actually take the corner, so that's pretty much over at this point for Min. So it will be a draw that will allow DXA to retain themselves 3 points adrift from TRD, but it is now going to be close to the point, if not at the point of no return for the red side, where they do need to actually claw the gap back fast and now. Coming up right now to the second sector, it will be Min and Chung sandwiching Starlight right now, sitting in second place, trying to get some backup with Spider coming in to try and go as a reinforcement, but Min having a huge clip just before the grass bar, before turn 8, and that will be Chung taking over the lead. Spider and Starlight still in the position to salvage yet another draw from this, but Chung now under threat from both Spider and Starlight. Spider goes a bit too tight and hits the wall at the apex of the corner. Chung continuing to hold the lead and should be able to do so up until the bitter end. The finish line coming in 59.212 with Min in 30 will be a victory for TRD, 9-5. The back of DXA against the wall once again.
Yeah, it's one of those days where, you know, at the complete opposite of what you said regarding Chung on day one. You know, Min was the one, you know, to do the heavy lifting, but today, well, I was about to say Chung is the one doing the heavy lifting, and then he immediately crashes the wall. A classic, you know, you immediately start to praise somebody, and then immediately they touch the wall. Why does this keep happening when I try to give compliments to players? It just never works. Well, either way, I'm gonna still stick to it because Chung has been quite amazing today, regardless of my cast cursing shenanigans. But it's Min who has been struggling a bit today. It's not to his correction, and we can see right now as well, like Spider immediately catches up to him, goes really wide on the plastic, and Spider overtakes him. Min with a really awkward line. It's gonna be even Stevens here, and in the back end, even Starlight is catching up to Chung as well. So this round could go either way, but Min only has to hold on to second position, and it should be more than fine. Goes for the full attack. And that is all she wrote, I think. Spider is trying. That is not what all she wrote, but Chung comes in to clutch it out with the second position. And that is a GG. Yeah, it is an interesting day for the two Red Devils. But at least Chung is holding hard for them, and they are 2-0 up. But it's a weird one. I don't really know how to put it. You know, it's still a win. But I don't think Min and feels like it's a very satisfactory if I was in his position, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely having a bit of a rougher time going into this round. But hey, he turns into a crowd pleaser whenever the round doesn't go his way, as you've been able to witness over the last few 30 seconds. But yeah, definitely a bit of a rough one for Min. But credit to Chung, he's definitely come up where I expected to be, where I expected him to go, and it's not exactly the greatest showing for TRD this match, but with Chung able to pick up the pieces when he needs to, I feel like the group has become a little bit more homogenous as tour compared to what we've seen on day one.
Yeah, I mean, that only just puts more, you know, a good... honestly, if anything is to go by as well, it sort of emphasized the fact we know Min is good, but if Chung can do this for the foreseeable matches to come and Min can get up to his usual pace, this is, again, it shows the potential of this team. But it feels like, you know, the puzzle pieces don't mix, you know. It's like if Min has a good day, then Chung doesn't have the best part. But now Chung is having a good day and Min is the one to struggle. So maybe the next play session tomorrow, it will all come together and they will finally mellow fully all together. But we are on simplicity. And it is a track where, again, well, Min has the world record, who knows the prize, but Chung is the one the first one to fumble, and Starlight and Spider at least get into a draw position. But they have to overtake Min, and Min, how in the hell did he survive? Okay, there we go. I was about to say
Starlight as well.
Yeah, it's one of those rounds. You can all say an average APEC round in chat. You're more than welcome to do so. JK Lee, thank you very much. But yeah, it is interesting. It could have been an ace for DXA Singapore if it weren't for the Starlight's clip there. But for the time being, at least they will get a victory on the board. And it's been quite often that actually DXA Singapore have a great first round to start off, but then it's where it gets a bit complicated.
Yeah, then it kind of tends to fall apart pretty quickly as TRD then find their footing. But yeah, that was a round of all-round damage with Min. That was close to being the save of the entire week. Let alone, forget day 3. That was the save of the week on day 2. If that would have been pulled through all the way. Unfortunately, of course, there was an outside retaining wall that was waiting for Min to be there. So yeah, it didn't materialize. But now Chung passing the platform, but then unfortunately clipping at the transition afterwards. So he will be dropping down to last place. And you can see the gaps have widened quite significantly now. It's not exactly as clear cut as it was. And now Min having full stop pick, managing to come out the better footwear, avoiding the outside wall this time around because it's a bit of a pinch that is a little bit deceptive at first glance. Starlight taking over the lead, not having put a foot wrong so far in this round. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, Min a second down, now under threat from Spider, trying to make this into an ace for DXA Singapore as we head into the final corner and the jump into the finish line. It will be yet another victory for DXA with a 57.420, 8/10ths clear for Min, and then Spider coming in third. So yeah, 4-2, and yeah, TRD continuing to have a bit more of a painful run through that particular map pack. Maybe they're just trying to tank it before we head on to 3-piece.
Yeah, it's interesting to say the least. Oh, that's a rough start for Starlight there to start off. It feels like it's just like the confidence is not quite there, and of course it's very hard as a player as well. I can empathize as well in that regard, because I know that if a track is not going well and it sort of doesn't really feel like it's getting any better, it sort of starts to compound. And you can see that Min is trying. He has the confidence, he has the line. There's a reason why he has the world record, but now he finally gets to clear that corner. But you know, that confidence does, you know, go on to the next tracks, and well, you need one good round, sometimes even isn't enough to catch you off guard. But I mean, Min is looking to just now rectify that to go for an absolute blistering of a time, and the two Red Devils are looking to get an ace on the board. Min looks to be on an absolute worldie of a time, and that is a very solid time indeed as well, 56.2. Not, of course, as close to the world record as some other times have been, but still a very good time and to get back into the match.
Yeah, that round that TRD just had was a solid answer and pretty much the perfect answer, perfect response to the first 2 rounds that have been more than problematic for the Korean duo. And now they just need to be able to capitalize on that, to keep going with the good point finishes, like even not necessarily aces, but even victories, to try and play the mathematical game and play the format as Tour. But of course, being that they don't really feel like it's a satisfactory way that they won the previous 2 maps, as unfortunately for Min, he pulled the same thing that Chung did in the first one, where he had basically the right side of his car clip at the very edge, at the gutter, before the platform part. Chung managing to avoid hitting the wall on the inside, as we followed the second from Starlight, as we see Spider, yeah, also having a bit of trouble on his own, and Starlight having a huge slowdown as well. So Min moves up into 3rd place. Now Chung, as we say, managing to keep himself pretty much dialed in the zone, keeping his composure, managing to pick up the pieces whenever he needs to pick up the pieces, and thus it will be at the very least a draw, if not a victory, for the true Red Devils. And there it is, 56.6 for Chung in first, 3rd place for Min, 2.8 seconds down, and it will be match point opportunity number 1 for TRD. But given the dynamic that we saw from the match, I think it's going to take 2 rounds and not 1 for TRD to conclude that.
Yeah, it's very hard to put your money on at the moment for the 2 Red Devils or TRD to get the ace on the board. I mean, they got 1, and DXA Singapore haven't really been able to fully take advantage of every single mistake, but so far at least once they get going, they seem to be at least going really well. And Starlight also in the mix at the moment. Spider is not too far behind as well, but has to sort of kind of mitigate a slight releases then and there. Chung, that corner has been but that wall has been the pinnacle of everybody in this tournament, and at least in this
that middle
match.
sector, man. That middle sector,
it's
man,
just so rough.
Yeah, it's an absolute killer between what we saw from Chung, who had a bit of a clip at the downhill on the grass banking, and that's going to be denied the ace as he hugs the wall on the sausage road. So it will be, as I said, not 1 round, but 2 rounds needed for TRD to conclude. But yeah, that middle sector here on Simplicity is just a real killer between the full stoppings that we saw from Min and from Chuck at the sausage road at the start of the sector, before we head into the outside retaining wall, the sort of pinch in the road that you see after you go outside the pole going for the late apex, and the platform afterwards, which has been causing so many slowdowns over the course of the last few rounds. it's just kind of flipped the balance of power left, right, and center every single round we've seen so far here on this matchup. In the meantime, it will be Chung Starlight battling for the lead in the first sector. Min trying to catch back up to Spider, moving up into third place. Not quite. Currently, Spider still holding that third place nice and warm, but watch out as it is going to be Min trying to pull on the attack there. Chung continuing to lead. There we go. Heading into the middle sector. Min trying to go for the full attack. Maybe a bit more conservative to avoid the pinch in the wall. Avoiding the air time. Getting a bit of two-wheel time there. Moving from third to first in the space of a few corners. Chung managing to keep within the coattails of his teammate. And both pulling away from Starlight. This time they're looking to conclude it. They're like, that's it. We're done messing around. We just want to be home and get out of here. And that's going to be the case here with Min. Driving a 0.527 and a 0.67 driven by Chung as well. It's the GG 11-6 for TRD, who take the match 3-0. But oh goodness, was it painful for the blue side to get any semblance of momentum whatsoever. But yeah, credit to Chung. Again, for me, that's going to be the main, not quite surprise, but the main commendable performance, I should say, because yeah, compared to day one, he looks a lot more prepped, a lot more dialed in, and he was able to be there for his teammate whenever his teammate had a little bit of a rough time. So yeah, not quite the best showing from TRD, but a lot more homogenous group compared to what we saw last week.
Yeah, it's looking a lot more comfortable for everybody involved, but it is still a bit of a keynote for the two Red Devils to keep in mind as well, in all things considered, because it was a match that, you know, other teams, there are still teams up there that are looking to defeat them, and if that's something that they have to go up against, you know, that's something they have to keep in mind. But without further ado, we do have another match at the moment ongoing. We will be jumping into Restless Black versus Equinox, which the scoreline is 2-1 on the board at the moment, and Equinox have been able to actually take a map off of Restless Black. And it looks to be, we are on Candy Crush of all maps as well, so Restless Black is in the lead, but I mean, it seems that the thing that Restless Black are struggling with, consistency, is maybe catching up to them a bit, because Equinox, at least have so far, looks to be, at least from judging by the score, been able to take advantage of that, and for the time being at least, judging from the round on our screens as well, they look to be actually taking a victory here as well, unless Winky Face is able to actually catch up, which he is slowly doing. Red Bolt is also contesting Eto'Lee up in front as well. They are really pushing the echelon here. Can they actually take anything from the round? Red Bolt is falling a bit behind, but it's a 2v2 in the front and in the back. Who has the best speed? Red Bolt has Eto'Lee has to go for the safe line. So it is a victory for Restless Black to get the lead here, 8-5 on the board, and match point for Restless Black as well.
This is definitely a bit more of an uphill battle than I thought for Restless Black, because yeah, you said it, consistency is starting to rear its ugly head as Equinox have been able to take a map away from Restless Black. But you could see over the course of the round, despite a mistake from Hygibis, Eto'Lee was able to hold pretty much all the way through up until the last corner and the jump into the risky fin. Hygibis was also able to take advantage of mistakes from Wikiface, but this time it looks to be a situation that will not be repeated, as Red Bolt unfortunately messes up at the top of the grass barn and decides to take a little bit of a dive on the other side of the map. So unfortunately for him, we will be seeing him perennially in last place. It will be his teammate Wikiface picking up the slack to enforce the draw and prevent Equinox from reeling the gap back in. Currently sitting about 3 to 4 tenths ahead of Eto'Lee. Hygibis managing to keep himself within visual contact of his teammate, but the gaps have been well and truly spread out. And only a mistake from Wikiface will prevent a draw from being enforced here at the end of this round. Towards the final jump we go. Wikiface will be able to go for the risky fin just fine. Eto'Lee doesn't. Hygibis moves up into second place. Luckily for Eto'Lee, he has quite a bit of a gap to manage ahead of Red Bolt, so it will be a draw regardless. 9-6 for Equinox, who do need an ace to even the scales and make it a lot more interesting. And why not take this to a game 5?
Yep, that is indeed true, and but they do need an ace to get the get it on the board. And then, to be honest, Winky Face, you know, as much as Restless Black do tend to struggle with consistency, they do have the pace, and that is a big advantage that they have over Equinox. So if they can keep that going, then that was perfectly fine. But again, Red Bolt has fallen a bit behind. Winky Face is the one that is taking up the mantle of being up in front. But they cannot allow for Equinox to take the ace, because otherwise that puts everybody in a bit of a predicament here. But for the time being, it's still looking good for Restless. They only need a second position, any of the two. Restless does touch the outside wall, so he's a bit out of it. So Winky Face, all he has to do is hold on to second position. That is the minimum that is needed in order to take this match point. So no real shenanigans needed, nothing
Oh,
needed to send here,
I
and it
get
seems to be
this.
very confident as well that is a clean and clinical when it's needed. That is first position, and that is a draw that is well reserved for Restless Black as they get the point and get the match point as well. So a very good win for them. We don't know what the context of that track point for Equinox was, but that's again a detriment to the fact that even Restless Black can take a loser track to the teams that are maybe towards the lower part of the tournament. But GG still nonetheless. That is the final match, I believe, of the day as well, because every other match has concluded as well. So that is
Yep,
those are all of the
indeed.
matches done.
All the matches done indeed, and yeah, I think it's time to get a little bit of a recap of all the games that have happened, and also take a look at the standings of the championship just afterwards. So yeah, of course, there's been a lot of games happening today, but at the end of that second play day, here's what the standings look like stacked up with. Of course, yeah, just a little bit of a reminder of the Playday 2 schedule, as you can see here. And now there we go for the standings. Trident Esports, the sole undefeated team after day 2 here in AOPL Division 1, 6-0. Then we go for the 5-1 teams with Antic Esports, 2 Red Devils, and Restless Black in that order, with map diffs coming in as the tiebreaker. 12 points of a map difference for Antic Esports, 10 for 2 Red Devils, and 8 for Restless Black. Then we go on to the 3-3 teams, Steak and Cheese and Restless White in 5th and 6th, currently right on the bubble of qualifying for the playoffs with the map diff of 2 for Steak and Cheese and -2 for Restless White, respectively. DXA Singapore with 2 wins and 4 losses sits in 7th place with -4 of a map diff. Then 1 win for Equinox, currently sitting in P8, and then 9th and 10th for Baked Not Fried and Trident Storm, both sitting with a -17 map diff. So yeah, already we're starting to see the potential contenders for playoffs take shape, and it looks as though unless there is a really big shakeup over the course of the next 3 matches tomorrow, there's not really going to be that much of a change in the contenders for the playoffs, at least in my opinion.
Well, there's definitely that could be definitely true. Of course, there is a fight for the top end, and a bit of the Antic. 2 Red Devils and Restless Black are going to be fighting for the second and fourth position. I believe that will be their contention of who gets what position there. I believe the fifth, sixth, and seventh position is where it gets a bit spicy, because you have Steak and Cheese, Restless White, and DXA Singapore who are on the cusp of getting into the playoffs there, and they have. The only problem I see at the moment is the fact that DXA have probably the worst opportunity to get there. They have to play Antic and Trident Esports. So DXA Singapore have the worst end of the stick for the matchups there. So that is going to be a rough one for them. So
Yeah, that
they
is
have to
a
pull out a miracle there.
that is worthy of the Jeepers in the chat. I've seen some pop up, but yeah, I think this is a real Jeepers moment because, yeah, this is fighting the top 2 in the championship when you're top 7 at the moment. Pretty rough. We can all agree, but yeah, this means that yeah, there's going to be a lot more to get stuck in, as you can attest from the schedule of the overall competition. Of course, we were done with day 2 of the group stage, but there is one more day to go, starting off at 7 a.m. UTC, of course, on our clients, but of course, the different time zones and times are going to be displayed on the screen right here, with rounds 7, 8, and 9 over the course of 2.5 hours ish. We will get to witness the final days of the group stage and to see basically who gets locked into that top 6 for the playoffs. Also worthy of mentioning, today marked also the last day of the group stage for the Challenger division, with the playoffs due to take place tomorrow. These are going to be covered mainly by POV streams, as we're going to be mainly focusing on the group stage from the Premier division here on this channel. But yeah, plenty of stuff to watch out for here in this inaugural season of AOPL tomorrow.
Yep, there is plenty of exciting stuff as well, and I'm already having a bit of a glance of some of the matches as well. And there's some good ones. There's some have it a bit more easier than others. Some have it a bit more interesting than others. I will say, like the matchups that Baked Not Fried, Steak and Cheese, and DXA have. have some are more interesting than others, but I feel like it's first of all, there has to be some upsets happening for
Mm,
DXA Singapore to have a chance at playoffs. And Steak and Cheese and Restless White, I mean, it's in their hands to hold on to that spot as well. But there are some teams that can play a bit of a downer. I will still say, you have Equinox and Big Nut Fright still in it as well. And they can still
mm.
play to ruin some of the dreams of those teams to make it to playoffs. And who knows, we might go into tiebreakers, and who knows what kind of shenanigans in the end to decide who gets to the playoffs. I feel like the four teams at the top are secured. I think
Yeah,
those two won't be really toppled. I think they are quite comfortable. They are 6-0, 5-1s on the board, so they should be more than fine. It's the fifth and sixth spot, which could get a bit spicy. I think tomorrow. I think
yeah.
that the staff have a lot to look to see, and what kind of matches we actually highlight on the stream, because we want to see all the drama, all of the highlights of what could be a very interesting race towards playoffs as well. And so interesting stuff as well. And you can definitely take a look at it as well. You can do pick'ems on the e-circuit mania as well. You can take a look as well how your pick'ems went today. I don't know if they will be updated quite immediately. They usually take a bit of time, but you can also take a
Yep.
glance at how your pick'ems are in the mud, or maybe you had an absolute world the other day. And just keep an eye on everything. The show shows everything. We will be posting on everything as well. What matches are upcoming as well. Keep an eye on the Trackmania, well, the Asian Oceania Twitter as well. And I don't know, you got anything else to add as well? Maybe some sign off, some remarks you want to add to finish us off?
I think I don't really think I've got anything to add. You got pretty much everything covered. But yeah, of course ECM with the pickums. But of course, if you're a data freak like sometimes I am on Trackmania, of course ECM is probably one of the best places you can go to. They take a little bit of time to update, but you'll get full breakdowns of the matches with picks, bans, numbers of aces, the data round by round times. This is probably one of my favorite things to actually watch out for,
Mm,
to see whether someone actually had a little bit of a mess up or something like that. And also, you get per map stats, picks, and bans and stuff like that. Probably one of my favorite platforms to have emerged last year when it comes to actually data for official matches in Trackmania. Absolute chef's kiss. And of course, can't help but shout out, of course, the Liquipedia exclamation mark AOPL in the chat for the actual Liquipedia link with up-to-date results every time a single match ends. That way, you can keep track to the of the situation of the championship down to the second it happens. And yeah, as Kriidy said, just make sure to follow all the social media from the TM Asia Oceania community, Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter, because yeah, there will be, of course, match VODs on YouTube, I'm assuming pretty soon. And of course, Twitter for all the different news, especially the highlighted matches, and this here Twitch channel for tomorrow's action. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much it from us here for today on AOPL Day 2. I've been Thomas Mengos, aka GGeek. This has been Kriidy right next to me for Defeatizing for Turbo. Get well soon, Kai. I hope we can get to cast soon again. And yeah, much love, be kind, stay safe, and see you tomorrow for Day 3 of the group stage. Godspeed, people.
bye bye, everybody.